Judge allows access to emails about Arizona's immigration law. All you got to have is an ID to vote. The illegals are voting everywhere. The country's collapsing. The third world's collapsing. We're going bankrupt. The illegals are being brought in to vote to take our guns. And then meanwhile, they're going to take hundreds of thousands of emails in the year-long debate on SB 1070 or 1070. And, of course, they're going to have racists sending in emails. They're going to have fakes sending in false flags to then claim that if anyone sent emails against Mexicans, then the law is racist. That's what it actually says. Opponents of SB 1070 consider the country's toughest state law against illegal immigrants may examine correspondence to see whether it contains racial overtones, the ruling says, to see if there were any emails sent that were racist. I mean, this is total race war garbage. By the way, I got good news for the Patriots and bad news for the globalists. My biggest fans on the streets of Austin are Hispanic Americans who love their kids and love liberty and want to own guns and have private property. It's not working. The Hispanics that have been here and are Americans know what's going on. You got a language barrier to the other ones, but I think this is going to backfire on them, folks. Mexicans in Mexico want to own guns and are forming illegal militias to protect themselves. This is not going to work. We've got to reach out to these folks. So we've got that. But just talk about incredible race baiting. You can go with keyword data, search through any emails you want of an entire state database and find anything you want. Schizophrenics thinking they've got chips in their brains, crazy people. I'll guarantee you this. There's going to be tons of racist Hispanics saying, you racist whites, go back to Europe, you're scum. I mean, just because that's going on, does that mean... This is crazy, folks. No country is as wide open as we are to immigration. And then you put people on welfare, we're going bankrupt. All right, for the balance of the hour and a little bit of the next, we're joined by our guest. This is a big deal. This is a major whistleblower from Fast and Furious. And what they've done is tried to scapegoat the gun shops and gun dealers who exposed Fast and Furious. Shelly Castile, a former DEA top agent, former Army veteran in Vietnam, highly decorated, honorably discharged, longtime guest on this show, exposed that our government was funding Los Zetas, shipping guns in through gun dealers, that they tried to hire him to train Los Zetas at the King Ranch in South Texas. He was going through a divorce. He was a school teacher, already been in the military, then a Border Patrol agent, then served 15 years as a DEA agent, became a school teacher, lost everything in a divorce, sold his 15 guns. The state police with the ATF, one of his so-called friends said, oh, I'll buy that shotgun from you. They set him up and sent him to jail for 3 years because he exposed Fast and Furious. 8 years ago, before Obama even got in office, this was going on, and then accelerated. Now, our next guest has been in the LA Times, Fox News, you name it. He was a firearms dealer serving a 3-year probation. And he was set up. Ian Garland's an American citizen, but originally from Australia. Fast and Furious, justicenow.org is his website. And I want to give him the floor here today to break down what really happened with Fast and Furious, because our government was shipping the guns, fully auto, hand grenades, grenade launchers, to the different drug cartels to destabilize Mexico. Then when it started coming out, they burned a few gun shops that they'd ordered to also be part of it in, quote, investigations that were really meant to then also blame the Second Amendment. And that's come out in memos via CBS News. So this was a false flag staged event that blew up in their criminal faces. Now let's go to our guest, Ian Garland, Fast and Furious Justice Now. Tell folks in a nutshell, then we'll get into more details about what happened to you, your story, and where you are right now, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Alex. I moved from California about 5-6 years ago to Chaparral, New Mexico. Met my wife, got married on the 4th of July, out of all dates, because that's special to us. Opened a little gun shop. I had one in El Paso, one in Chaparral there, and I'd go back and forth. And after a amount of time, I had the people come from Columbus. They drove a police car. They were in uniform. They were who they said they were. It was the mayor, the police chief, the trustee, police officer from Columbus, New Mexico.
And this case came out later, yes.
Oh, Oh, absolutely, yes. And they wanted to buy some guns. I'm like, yeah, you know the procedure. I have to call in the background check and get a pass by the FBI. And they said, no, fine with that. So a month later, they came back and they wanted to buy 10 more. And I said, what do you want to buy 10 for? Well, we want to give some to our families and friends, you know, for protection for the border, on the border right there. And sometimes we go to gun shows, buy, sell, trade, collect. And I'd already not only checked with the ATF, I had complained to the ATF about private sales with 300 to 400 guns on their tables with no paperwork, no background check required. And the ATF tells me that's legal. So my customers want to do that also. So I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
What they were doing was selectively enforcing with groups they controlled. Yeah, in Austin, if you sell your granddaddy's shotgun, the ATF's going to beat your head in the parking lot and take you to jail for stuff totally legal. But if you're one of their tables that they're running and making money off of, you can do whatever you want.
Absolutely. And when I sell more than one handgun, you have to lodge a multiple purchase form, one to the ATF and one to the local sheriff, which was Otero County Sheriff here in New Mexico. And I did that for 18 months. I sold to these people off and on. And finally, the ATF, they were following me. I was chasing them down the road. I ended up doing an undercover sting because one guy tried to bribe me, not this group from Columbus, but another person tried to bribe me, and he wouldn't leave me alone. And I said, hey, you guys need to help me with this guy. And they said, will you help us basically get him? So after much apprehension, I did the undercover sting. You know, I was scared of reprisals from my wife, my family, everything, but I did my part. And then they come and ask me about these guys from Columbus. Are you worried about they buy 20 guns one month, 20 the next? I'm like, no, they want to go to gun shows. They buy, sell, collect, trade. I mean, they do the background check. They drive a police car to my business. They're in uniform. I mean, why would I be worried, especially here? This is the other point I want to make, why I wasn't worried. This was almost 18 months, Alex, with no trace information. But if guns are turned up, the procedure is they're supposed to be traced back to me through the ATF, and I say, yeah, I sold it to John Smith, et cetera, blah, blah, blah.
Sure, the truth is, because I've read your case, for tell folks, the ATF knew the whole thing. Once you exposed it, they had to cover their butts by acting like they were investigating.
Yes. Absolutely. And it was proven in the congressional report, which I had a copy of, that they had the trace information and they stood on it so their little operation could continue. And that was proven. And then, of course, we all know what happened. It didn't matter that thousands of Mexican citizens were dying, but when one Border Patrol agent was killed, God rest his soul, we know what happened.
Absolutely. There's now been a death. Tell folks about that.
Brian Terry?
Absolutely. And now it's come out in mainstream news, Arizona Central, that the FBI was key in the slaying and the cover-up.
Oh, absolutely. And then come to find out, I did research after the last 18 months. They knew about these court documents. They knew about these people in Columbus before I even moved to Chaparral back in 2007. And these people, the government officials that bought from me for 18 months, had direct ties with Jamie Avila. That's Jamie Avila, who the ATF let buy that rifle, who killed Brian Terry.
And this has all come out in the Arizona Republic. It's come out in the LA Times, but still no one's gotten in trouble. So people say if something like this happened, we'd know about it. People would blow the whistle. Well, you have blown the whistle, and to try to discredit you up front because you were the original whistleblower, they ended up trumping stuff up on you and throwing you in jail. And I would say, sir, your life's in danger now.
Oh, absolutely. And it got me in El Paso here. I'm 300 miles from my family. I mean, I have no car, no money. And the thing was, I won my case on Friday the 13th, last month, in December. And they put me out on the street for 5 days homeless. I had no money, no ID, no phone, no clothes, no car. I mean, can you believe that? The first thing I did was finally went to a library, got in touch with my wife. She helped me. I got this little cell phone. I mean, oh, my God, I couldn't believe I was homeless for 5 days. I mean, that's probably about the worst experience of my life in all this.
Well, I can tell you, if you're a small gun shop with a John Wayne photo hanging in it, and you don't dot an I, they're going to take you to jail. But if you work for the criminal government and are actually a drug dealer, I mean, that's all the ATF and FBI are at that level. They are the drug dealers. They are the gun runners. And it comes out over and over again. They've always been that. They are law enforcement so they can carry out the criminal operations, folks.
I mean, it doesn't make sense. Why would I do the paperwork and all the background checks and the multiple reporting forms and make a paper trail back to myself?
Well, yeah, you're the guy that, for those that don't know, that blew the whistle, that made them investigate, that ended up bringing down these police chiefs and mayors in New Mexico that were involved in this, so the ATF to cover their butt because they were involved in it, put you in jail.
Well, absolutely. The bottom line is, how do you explain that I was selling for 18 months to people they knew for years were smuggling? How bad do I make them look, Alex? How bad?
You make them look bad, and as you said, you've now explain your case more when we come back, and where you think Fast and Furious is going, and how big you really think it is. Major whistleblower joins us right now. Symbols are powerful, and the globalists have hijacked the symbols of America. They've turned them into their own symbols. Well, we are restoring the idea of the true republic, not the counterfeit globalist empire, by promoting the icon George Washington and others. That's why we're rolling out an 100% made in America line of incredible pro-liberty apparel. We are repopularizing liberty. We are helping fellow Americans rediscover what made this country great. We are the spirit of 1776. We are 1776 worldwide. We are all brothers and sisters in arms in the animating contest of liberty in the long march towards humanity's ultimate destiny of freedom. Visit madein1776.com today and vote with your dollars to promote truly made in America, high-quality products, and promote the ideals of liberty.